Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha. As always, I'm here and answering all your questions sometimes about INFJ, sometimes about other things. Hopefully you guys find this useful and hopefully you've been able to use it to improve yourself in some way in your life, understand yourself better, whatever it might be. One of my viewers, there's a cat here, Shelby. She always visits me in the morning. And she roams around on the roof. Oh, there she goes. There's a viewer called Jessica Bullock, and she's great. She's amazing. She's always messaging me with amazing, interesting questions. One of them I found fascinating, and I really wanted to share with you guys because it's so interesting that sometimes I think that, something is really wrong with me, and someone messages me, some INFJ, and says, do you feel this way as well? And I think to myself, oh shoot, it's just an INFJ thing. That makes sense. So I really also wanted to do these videos because a lot of times we sit around as INFJs thinking, oh shit, I'm insane, I'm crazy, no one else thinks this way, I'm the only one, oh my god. And then if you look at my videos and say, oh, right, I'm not the only one, everyone else does this too, it's just an INFJ thing. I want you guys to have that aha moment where you say, oh no, I'm not crazy, oh, I'm just an INFJ, oh, that's okay, right? And a lot of you have messaged me saying that, oh my god, I feel so much better because it's not that I'm crazy or insane or manic depressive or whatever. I'm just displaying my personality traits. It's just normal, right? So I want you guys to have that moment. So what she said specifically, I wanted to share it with you guys, is that, she says, I wonder if you or others have times where you are negatively disconnected from your thoughts and emotions. Not only that, but the ones that are there seem distant, like they're coming from something or someone else, right? And so I thought this is brilliant because it happens to me all the time. Now, I meditate as well, and so that actually helps with this as well. Let me kind of explain a little bit what meditation is all about, first of all, to start off, or what thoughts are all about. So, when you have these thoughts, we kind of assume that the thoughts are kind of in this neural network, in this skull of ours, right? The thoughts are coming from there, and that's the only place the thoughts come from, and that's it. Now, I don't want to I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything about it. I'm just talking about my own opinions about the world. So if it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't matter. It's just, this is the way I look at the world. Now, you guys have probably heard of collective consciousness. And so that means that there are thoughts not only coming from us, but coming from our ancestors, coming from the earth, coming from the trees surrounding us, coming from the insects, the crickets that are singing, coming from anything else in the world, and all the different human beings. We're all connected somehow to this collective consciousness where all of the different thoughts are stored. Now, if you don't believe in that, it doesn't matter, because there are so many situations where I've noticed that I will have a random thought pop out of nowhere, and I think to myself, where did that come from? And not because it came from me, it came from someone else. It came from either a person who was sitting next to me, or a person that was passing by me, or a tree that was thinking that thought. Because I do believe that all trees and all plants and all things, they're thinking thoughts too. We might not understand them directly, but they can be transferred over to our collective consciousness and through that to us, right? And so we're walking around, the crickets are doing their mating dance and song, and suddenly I hear a thought coming to me. Not all of it is like that. Some of the thoughts are my own, but a lot of the thoughts that are coming to us are not directly coming from our skull. They're not coming directly from our head. Now, I know some of you guys are going to have a hard time understanding this. That's okay. It took me a long time to get to this point as well, right? So when we are kind of moving through the world and we're having these thoughts, that's why I'm very careful when I feel terrible all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my God, I feel really bad all of a sudden. What happened? I always stop and I think to myself, okay, where did this come from? Is it coming from within me? Is it coming from my body? Is it coming from my heart? Or is it coming from someone else who surrounded me or who has given me that energy? Or is it coming from a tree that's dying? Or is it coming from an insect that just died? Or is it coming from the earth, who is dying, poor earth? Or is it coming from the atmosphere? Is it coming from the collective consciousness? Is there a tsunami somewhere where 1,000 people died? Is that where it's coming from? I mean, all of it is freaking interconnected, right? I mean, you have no idea where it's coming from. It might be coming from your ancestor that has just passed by you because she was roaming around looking, making sure that you're fine, and she just sent you a message saying, oh, I love you, blah, blah, blah. You don't know. And that's the reason I always think, and I say to everyone, we are minuscule specks. We have no idea what the hell really is going on in the world, because the spectrum of what our knowledge is, the spectrum of what we can see, the spectrum of what we can feel is so limited. It's like it's like minuscule. There's so much more going on in parallel dimensions and parallel universes and all the different other areas, all the different other visual spectrums. I mean, there might be something going on. There might be ghosts here, and I can't see them because I can only see a limited wavelength, right? And there might be things going on in my ears can't hear it. There might be bacteria. There is bacteria on me, and I can't feel them because I can't feel that. Things like that. So we have no idea what the hell all of it. If we don't have all of that information. So there's all this information coming at us from all these different avenues that we're not aware of, right? Now, sometimes that's why it feels like, that someone's speaking to us or some thought is coming at us from a very distant view, and it's not coming from us. It's not coming from us because it's not coming from us, right? It's coming from the collective consciousness. It might be coming from some other person who's standing next to you. It might be coming from, like I said, a tree. You have no idea. Also, the more you meditate, the more you realize that there is this being inside of you. Now, we always assume that our consciousness lies in our head, in our brain. But if you look online and you look at all the scientists that are trying to prove that our consciousness lies in our head, that our soul lies in our head, our soul lies in our body, it doesn't actually lie there. It's not there. They can't find where consciousness lies. They have no idea how to see it. They can't see it at the moment, also because we have limited technology. But if they try to prove that consciousness lies in our body or in our head, in our skull, in our brain, it's not true. That's not where it lies because they can't find it there, right? And so it really is fascinating to me because where does consciousness lie then? Where is my consciousness right now? Is it in my body here? Yes, I'm moving and doing all this thing and blah, 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 but is it here? The more you meditate, the more you're going to realize that it's not here. It's not here really, guys. It's not. And that's actually kind of a freeing thing because if you realize that, that means that your body is not where your soul is, where your consciousness is. It just lies somewhere out there, wherever it might be. It's not limited or hindered by this physical shell of yours. It's somewhere out there. It's there. It's not limited by us. It's not limited by death or life. We go in and out of consciousness. We have different lives. We move from life to life, and we move from this iteration to next iteration. I don't know who I'll be next time around. Who knows? I might be alive, I might not be alive, right? So our consciousness is not in our bodies, right? When you meditate, you actually really, really feel that more. You feel more distance from your thought. You feel more distance from all the different things, all of the drama that's in our head, because you realize that all of that drama is just self-created, and also it's created by your head. Now, it's created by your brain, but it's not created by your consciousness. Because if you really, really connect to that meditation aspect of yours, you're going to realize that that consciousness, that deep, deep, deep self of yours, that true self, that consciousness, is unaffected by all of this bullshit that's going on around you. Yes, Trump is an idiot, but will your consciousness be affected by it? No. It's been alive for eons. It's been alive for millennia, for generations and generations, forever, for an eternity. Does it really care what's going on in this minute speck right now? No, it doesn't matter because it's eternal. It is here forever, and it doesn't matter to it, whatever's going on. Now, I know this kind of is going into a very ethereal and a very maybe spiritual direction, but this is actually things that I've been reading about and things that I really believe. Now, you guys don't have to believe that, of course, but I've really been kind of researching it, and I kind of been looking at it, especially because I meditate every day, and I kind of noticed that disconnection from that eternal, from all of this stuff that's going on, right? I know I get irked by what the world is doing and humanity in general, and I hate humanity and I hate people and I hate what's going on, and I wish that the earth would eliminate all of us so it could live in peace, blah, blah, blah. I know I say all those things, but if I really think about it, if I go deep within myself and when I meditate, when I'm in the present moment, when I'm here, I know that everything is fine. Because we're just a minute speck at this moment in time. It's just 1 second out of a million, thousand, billion years or decades or millennia of consciousness, right? And now we're also, if you look at all the different learnings and teachings on consciousness, it also says that we're all one. We're all one consciousness, that we're looking at each other, one consciousness looking at itself. And all of the trees are one consciousness as well. We're all one person, really. And we're just doing experiments to see how different lives would run and all that stuff. Some of that is also, in my opinion, true. But again, it's also going way too esoteric. So what I want to do is I want to pull it back and say, yes, we are distant from our thoughts, not because we're not having it, not because we are cold, not because we're unemotional, not because we are insane, not because we're crazy, because that's what Jessica said as well. She was so worried that she was insane because she was having these thoughts. Don't worry about all that stuff. That's actually not the truth. If you really go deep into it, there's a lot of different dimensions and thought processes that we're unaware of, really. As human beings, as I said, we're very limited in our thinking, very limited in our consciousness if we really think about it. So you need to move away from thinking and back to your heart, back to your feeling, back to your emotion, back to love, back to all that stuff. The more wider way of doing things. We're so narrow and we're so shallow, and then we have to kind of move towards being more the bigger version of ours, right? And so if you guys don't meditate, obviously I absolutely recommend it a lot. I've said this before, it's really, really good for balancing out an INFJ. But also don't worry about the fact that you seem distant from your thoughts. It's actually absolutely normal. And I think INFJs feel it more because we are a little bit more self-aware. We're a little bit more aware of our bodies and our thoughts. And also we're a little bit more awakened perhaps. So we kind of see it a little bit more than other people. But every single person will deal with that distance sometime in their life. Sometimes you might be sitting there, all of a sudden you have this thought that, oh my God, everything's perfect and I'm here in this moment and the sunset looks absolutely gorgeous and wow. And you have that instant connection with the whole of eternity, the whole of consciousness, and all of a sudden in that moment everything is perfect, right? And I'm sure you've had moments like that in your life. And that's the reason we meditate as well, is because we need to want to have more and more of those moments. But that's what life is all about, right? That is what it is. It's not this physical shell. It's not this consciousness that we believe is in our skull. It's not in our skull because they can't find it there. So it's not that. So where is it? Well, it's somewhere out there, roaming around the skies, doing its thing, right? So we have no idea where all of our thoughts are coming from. We don't need to worry about that. That's not one of the things we should be worrying about. There's a billion other things to worry about, okay? All right, I hope this makes sense to you guys. I know I went into very esoteric, crazy dimensions, but I hope I've been able to explain myself to you. If you guys have any questions at all, please message me anytime. I'm obviously happy to kind of expand on something. If you guys want me to expand on any specific topic in this video, let me know as well. I kind of do a video again on that. It's a very complicated topic, obviously, and I've only done a 10-minute video on it, 12-minute video. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to cover everything that's in my head. So please ask me questions and I'll be able to do a better video or more explanation on specific aspects of it, right? Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being on my channel. And I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.